Gives me great pleasure to invite up David Bloom to deliver the drosh this morning.
I'm sure a number of you have seen on television some of the shows that are showing about family trees of selected people. Shows like Australia Story, Long Lost Family, Who Do You Think You Are, and it goes on and on. There are plenty of them. They select different personalities and delve into their past family history to find and identify past distant relatives. While the individuals targeted are keen to find out about their immediate and more distinct grandparents and great-great-uncles, etc., the interest point to us viewers is really finding out what mischief their ancestors got up to. Who was descended from whom, who was famous, and who ends up with a skeleton in their closet. We have a natural curiosity in identifying our progenitors, largely because we have to find out more about who we really are and what our inheritance brings to our present lives and to those around us. Tracing family roots back through generations can help everyone connect more deeply with a sense of self by learning about their family's past, where they come from, who they were, what they did, the trials they overcame, the accomplishments they achieved, and the dreams that they had. Knowing our cultural background and where we came from can help us develop a strong sense of who we really are, the way we relate to our family stories and create our own narratives about ourselves helps establish our unique, authentic core and identity. Of course, if you want to find out about a lot of these things, you can simply order a history from ancestry.com. Mark Twain put it a different way. Why waste your money looking up your family tree? Just go into politics and your opponents will do it for you. I particularly like that. When we talk about renewal on Rosh Hashanah, we must begin by talking about our origins because we need a starting point from which to move forward. Our understanding of ourselves will help guide us to become better people, both as individuals, as family members, and as members of our community and society. Do we really know what our own legacy is going to be? There's a classic case of the wealthy industrialist Alfred Nobel, who, when his brother died, a journalist mistook the two brothers and wrote a very uncomplimentary epitaph describing him as a merchant of death for his inventions of dynamite and other explosives. Alfred Nobel wanted his legacy to be one of service to humanity, so he sold off his explosive businesses and adopted a philanthropic life, culminating in the foundation of and the establishment of the Nobel Prizes. Talking about renewal is also talking about origins. If we don't know who we are and where we come from, the values we stand for, we will find it difficult to understand what we need to reevaluate our lives so that our legacy reflects our true beliefs. Can you imagine being Jewish without knowing our background history? We often describe ourselves and our children in terms of inherited qualities that make it clear that they are part of our family. Jewish history is a history of the world, spanning 3,000 years and nearly every continent and country. It's the tale of a diverse people that have overcome adversity and survived no matter where they ended up. A story of globalization, if you like, long before the modern world. And it's a history of minorities that illustrates both persecution and perseverance. In the end, Jewish history is more than the history of the Jews themselves. It's the history of the world in which they have lived, of the ideas they have generated, of the cultures and religions which have existed in a constant pool of interaction hybridity and borrowing. As Jews, we have a reliable source for all our origins because we have Tanakh, we have Torah, Nevi'im and Ketuvim. They describe the origins of our cultural and spiritual development, not to mention our own bloodlines. Indeed, I trace my own lines back to the Kohanim. The introduction to our holiday service, Torah service, starts, it didn't this morning, but it did yesterday morning, with the words, "When first we appeared on the stage of world history, a book was in our hands." It acknowledges how important Torah is to our history. Our Tanakh describes our history over a long period of time. It articulates those characteristics that distinguish us from the rest of the world. Virtually every culture tells a story about the origins of humankind, a story about its ancestry. And I quote one from Michael Crichton, who's an American author that really we all know him as for Jurassic Park. "If you don't know history, you don't know anything. You are a leaf that doesn't know it's part of a tree." I think that's a wonderful saying. Understanding our religious history can help us to see the complexities amongst people and perhaps help us to understand where they're coming from, even when we may not agree with them. I like to think that we can show great empathy, for example, to our First Nations people as they seek to maintain and preserve their own spiritual past. Our future is shaped by our present, and our present has been shaped by our past. On Rosh Hashanah, we are encouraged to consider our legacy that we have created for our future generations. Each of us contains within us this inheritance of soul. We are links between the ages, containing past and present expectations, sacred memories, and future promises, as quoted from Edward Selner, who is a renowned American theologian. Not all of our history is going to smell like roses. There are skeletons in our closet too. Behaviours we're not proud of, people who have been taken advantage of, things that could have, with benefit of hindsight, been done better. But that's the very point. We can grow and improve our own person when we seek to redress these things which we consider deficient in our history. We can gain a better understanding of our imperfections and make amends to correct and amend them. It sounds rather remote to think that customs and individual characteristics of our ancestors are part of our own makeup, but we can see how they are perpetuated right down through the generations by the customs and traditions that we keep. Many of them do indeed reflect very ancient, but still very valuable ethics and standards, but which we can govern our lives. If it still sounds theoretical, try this. Find someone in your family who understands your family history and get them to describe a set of family traits that they perceive distinguishes the family. Get everyone together with all the other members of your family and discuss which traits are worthy of emulation and which might be better be avoided. You might be surprised at particularly how your children respond. As we move through this week, finding the time to contemplate and evaluate who we are by looking at our roots as Jews and our family histories, we hope to discover and learn a lot about ourselves and press the reset button for the year to come, knowing that we have taken the time to establish a firm rock on which to climb forward. Kenya Hiratzon.